Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Britt and I'm the owner and creator of Britt Create Stuff. So I know the first few videos of mine have been some junk journal flip through videos. So today we're actually going to be doing a tutorial for these envelope or pocket slide cards. So I'm not going to go over the size or the dimensions of this one. But we will go over this one together because once you kind of know and understand how to do it, then you could adjust it and customize it to whatever you would like. So how it works is we're going to create this little, I'm going to call it a knob. And so it slides up to keep it closed, and then you slide it down to open it. So here is the first one that I made. Then I did some stenciling on the back of that one. And then there's one back here. Home is not a place, it's a feeling. And I added some lines to the back of that one. And then if you flip these over, I've got some cute little pockets for journaling cards. And then the back, you could glue it into the page of your journal. Or it would be something cute to include in with your happy mail. Okay, so this is the one that we'll be making today. If you open it up, and so you can leave this as an envelope, or you could create it with some flip outs like I did here. Some little journaling cards. And I'll probably add some more pockets and things and fully decorate it. And then I added some tabs. And these papers are some of the papers, and some of them are freebies on my website, brickcreatestuff.com. And these are from my kit, Farmhouse Memories, which is also available in my shop. Okay, so what you're gonna need is 2 pieces of paper. So if you want to use 12 by 12 scrapbook paper or cardstock, you can go ahead and trim it down to 8.5 by 11. I have 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11, and I printed these double-sided. These are pages from the Farmhouse kit. Okay. Then you're also going to need your scoring board and your bone folder. Then you're going to need glue, and if you want to use cardstock or whichever, well, I thought I had a scrap piece here. Okay. Okay. They were on my other table. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so for the tops of our little button or knob, whichever you want to call it, I am using little circle pieces from the kit to go on the very top here. So thought I had them on the top here, but you know, when you reach down in here to grab stuff, there they are. Okay, and then we'll make some tabs when the time comes. So I'm going to use one of these for the top, and I think we're going to go with the rooster. Sorry, Mr. Horsey. Okay, and then go ahead, and I'm using my 1.5 inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch out 5 or 6, and this is going to make our button or knob a little bit sturdier, and it'll make it easier to slide up and down. So 4, we need 1 more here. does, and put it in my basket over here just because I don't want to waste any of this paper. Okay. Alright. So I can set my circle punch aside here. Okay. Alright. We'll set our circles to the side for right now, and we will go ahead and begin with our paper. So decide which paper you want to be your base. You don't have to use pattern paper. You could use solid cardstock and then decorate it however you would like. You know, I used this one for the outside of the other one, so let's switch it up a bit. Let's use this one for the outside, and then we'll use the other piece to help decorate and make pockets and things. Okay, so you want it long ways, okay, portrait instead of landscape, and you're going to score 1/2 inch on the right side and at 1/2 inch on the left side. Okay. Then you can turn it landscape, and then you're going to score at 4 inches and score again at 8 inches. Okay, slide it down just a little bit here so I can really make sure. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll start with the long edges, and go ahead and use your bone folder, scoring tool, whatever it is you call it. And let's go ahead and make sure that our creases are nice and crisp. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do the same with our folds, going landscape. Making sure the edges are lined up, and then our top piece folds over. Go ahead and crease that really good. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take my little handy dandy Sharpie pen, and I am going to mark an X on the pieces which we are going to cut away. Okay, so the top 2 corners you're going to cut at the crease. Okay, and then you're going to do the same with the bottom. You're going to cut at the creases and cut this and this away. Okay, leave the ones in the center. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday, and I hope those of you watching that are in the South, like I am, I hope you all are safe from the storms and stuff we got yesterday and overnight last night. A lot of places got hit pretty hard by the storms. Okay. And if you all are crafting along with me and you enjoy this tutorial, there are many more to come in the near future. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you can be notified when I have new videos and tutorials posted. And I would also love to see what you do with this. So if you want to tag me on social media, I will pick a couple of people, and your project or creation has the opportunity to be featured on my website. Alright, I'm going to trim this piece down just a little bit more here. That way everything will fold together a little bit better. Okay, so now that you have your pieces trimmed away, I'm just going to come in and trim at an angle. Doesn't have to be perfect or none of that. But just come in. Okay. So if you want to round your corners, you can go ahead and do that. Because this is going to be a slider, I'm going to cut away part of the lid of the envelope. Okay. So just gonna try to line that up. Okay, you can set that piece aside because we can use that as a pocket. Okay, I'm just going to trim this up just a little bit. I have tried replacing the blade on my paper trimmer, and I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is the little groove that it goes down in. Alright, so now let's go ahead and round these corners. Okay. Next, you'll want to go ahead and ink up the edges. Before we move on. So I'm using Gathered Twigs, Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Oxide. And I'll start with the outside and then move on to the inside. I know after yesterday it's really nice to have the sunshine out today. Still a little windy, but really pretty outside. It is just wild to me that it is already in the middle of March. I think it was like the first of the year just seemed to be going quite slow, and then now it's just like it's flying by. Next week I have my Journals in Java workshop, which is an in-person workshop where I'm going to be teaching how to start a journal from scratch using my Springtime Cottage kit from last year. And so this first one is in person only, but I'm also considering, because I plan to do it monthly, or maybe every other month. I'm not quite sure. I haven't exactly decided, but I'm leaning towards once a month. But I'm thinking about for the next class, doing like a very limited number of seats for online, which means that there would be a few seats available for someone to watch live. Still kind of figuring out the details of all that, but I am quite excited for the workshop. And I just love that, so many people have, come to discover the world of junk journals and creating journals, and are, coming to love it and enjoy it just like I do, like so many of us do. It's just overall really good for us. Maybe not our wallet so much, but it's very beneficial to our mental health. And it's such a stress relief. And plus, I'm all for anything creative. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about inking the inside of these, just the outside, because the inside won't really be visible by the time we're done. Almost done. Okay. All right. So we've got all of the edges done. Okay. The next step is going to be measuring, not really measuring, but you're gonna just try to eyeball it to get it centered. And go ahead and grab a ruler. Okay. So I'm gonna try to get as close to the middle as I can. Let me get my pencil here. And we're gonna do 2 inches. Okay, so come all the way down. Then we're going to want to come over to the other side. Okay. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're also going to do 2 inches. Okay. And once you make your marks, we're just going to do a straight line at the top and the bottom. Okay. Then what you want to do is open up your envelope and then go ahead and grab your cutting tool and go ahead and trim out the top piece on the lid of the envelope. Okay. Now, go ahead and close it back up. Then take your pencil again, and you're just going to trace on the inside. Okay, so that will give you the full length of where you need to trim on this bottom piece. Okay, and yet again, this is not going to be perfectly lined up. So when you go to trim this out, just try to keep it as straight as possible. Okay. We'll go ahead and fold it back up, and we'll just kind of see how it lines up there. Okay. So if there's any leftover pencil marks, you can just take your eraser and go over that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and ink this as well on both sides. Okay, so I want the inside of this right here to be rounded like it is over here. So I'm just gonna come in here and round these corners. Just pop that back into place. Okay. Back over the edges. All right. So now we have our sliding slot. That sounds like such an awful word, doesn't it? Alright, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to take a scrap piece of cardstock. You could use the scrap piece that was left over from making the envelope. And I am going to do about 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. Okay, then we're going to come back up here to our scoring board, and we are going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 2 1/2, and then again at 3. Okay, so score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, 2.5, and 3 inches. Where you score at 3 inches, just go ahead and trim that off. Okay, this is going to be our little slider mechanism. Okay, so what you're going to do is not at the first, but at the middle, okay, where we have 1 inch. You're going to fold it this way, and then this one you're going to fold back out. This one you're going to fold in and then back out. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Okay. You don't have to, by no means. Do it however you would like. I'm just gonna ink up the edges. Some of this you'll see, some of this you won't. Okay, the back you will see. So if you wanted to cover this with a piece of scrapbook paper, you totally could to make it a little prettier. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and we are going to take our 1.5 inch circle punches. You could use a different size. I'm using the 1.5 because you have to take into consideration that when you slide this down, it doesn't need to be so big that it gets in the way of this being able to flip up. So with the 1.5, it's just about perfect. I do think you could maybe go up and do the 2 inch circle punch if that's what you have, but I wouldn't go any bigger than the 2 inch. But if you scale the whole project down, then you could adjust the size according to whatever you need. Come on, there we go. Alright. So we're just gonna stack these. One by one, and then we'll put our rooster on the very top. Okay, so now that we have it all together, you can just use your fingers and kind of squish them together. And then you can take your hands and go around like this to make sure that the edges are lined up. There we go. I'm going to come back in with the gathered twigs, and we're going to go over the edges here. Alright, so now you want to take our little piece here that we made, and you're going to push the top 2 pieces together. Okay, and then we're going to take it and we're going to push it through and go ahead and slide it all the way down and you can use it to kind of move it around a little bit. We want it kind of as straight as we can get it. It's going to have wiggle room, but that's just so we can line this up the way we need to. Okay, so just kind of hold it down. Go ahead and get you some glue. And then just go ahead and mash it down. You can hold it for a minute. Okay. So you can come in on this side and look. Just make sure that it's secure. Okay. And then kind of move it around, because if there's any excess glue that pops out, you want to make sure that it doesn't glue itself to the envelope. Okay. So now we can fold the lid down, slide our rooster up. Okay. Make sure that it slides pretty good. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Our next step. So like I said, you could glue your flaps here, glue this up, and you can leave it as an envelope. But we're going to do one like the one I showed at the beginning of the video, where we have some flip outs that we can decorate and add some pockets to. So you want it to be shorter and hot so that everything folds in on top of one another pretty smoothly. And you don't want it all the way, because these are going to get in the way of each other. And take into consideration if you want to add a tab like I did. So you'll want to bring it in a little bit shorter to leave enough space for you to put a tab, or if you wanted to do some lace on the edge of it or whatever. Okay. So I'm just going to come in, but I'm going to come all the way up to this edge, because this is going to fold over. Okay. Then I need to straighten it out a little bit. Go ahead and grab my pencil. So I want to come in a little bit. I'll do that about here. And I'll mark here. Okay. So now we'll grab our paper trimmer again. We'll trim it up long ways first. And then we'll do the short ways. Okay. So now we can take the piece that we just trimmed, and we'll go ahead and mark it on that leftover piece. So we can go ahead and do both at the same time. Okay, good deal. Take up my scissors real quick. Clean up these edges. those. Alright. So now that I've got that cleaned up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and round the corners here, but I'm only going to do the outside corners. So this one's going to be this way, this one's going to be this way. So I'll do the opposite corners on the other one. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like roughly. Okay. So let's go ahead and ink up the edges. You don't have to worry about this side back here because it's going to be glued down the flap. So now we can take our glue I'm trying to center it. So now we've got one. Go ahead and do the other side. Y'all, I know I got the sniffles, or Bradford pears are blooming, and it's got my allergies stored. So now we have our full lips. So now you can figure out what you're going to do. If you want to do pockets, you can do pockets. If you wanted to do journal cards, you could do journal cards, note cards. The recipe cards are too wide because I thought about doing those in there. But that's okay. Alright. Let's see if this will. Alright, there we go. I'll do these little cash slips. And we can do a pocket in here. that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and round all 4 corners for the pocket here. I'll leave the bottom of the cash slips square, but round the tops. Okay. I like that. Alright, let's go ahead and ink them up. Let's go ahead and do the notch, little thumb notch. Right. Now you could do a little notch in the side and create little hidden pockets if you wanted to. I think I'm just gonna glue these down. But however, I do think I want to distress these up a little bit more. So let me get one of my stencils here. Grab my blending brush here. Go ahead and we'll start with some splotches. I like that. Okay. Set that one aside and we'll do the same with this one. I think we'll just add in we'll just do a little bit of the text here and there. don't want to do too much. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Let's go back in and go over it. I like that much better. So now let's go ahead and we'll glue in our pocket. And when I glue these down, I'm going to stay kind of close to the edge down here. Just a little bit of space. That way we have plenty of room up here at the top to add our tabs. Now we're going to glue the other one. Doing the same as the other side. Let's see. Well, instead of trimming those out, let me get out my tab punch here and a scrap paper. Let's see here. There we go. I'm just going to fold this. And what you want to do is after you've doubled it, you can slide it. Leave a little bit of space. And we got one. 2. Now, we've got 2 tabs. Go ahead and ink those up. Okay. So this one I'm going to do close to the top. And the second one we're going to do at the bottom on the other side. Okay. So there we've got our pocket, journal space. Now let's do some pockets. Oh, I can see that got a little crooked there. Okay. It'll still fold up. So let's see here. I don't want it to interfere with our tab. So we're just going to trim it down a little bit. And then I'm going to cut this in half as well, so we can get 2 pockets out of it. Okay. Clean up the edges. Again, I'm going to round the corners. Then we'll ink the edges. I don't know how one of them ended up a little wider, but that's okay. Oops. Well, hope you guys are enjoying your beverage of choice. I'm still working on my coffee. Even though it's in the afternoon, that's okay. So if you've known me, either from other platforms, Facebook or TikTok, wherever, I'm not really one that likes to get in a hurry or like rush through something. And some of you may like that, some of you may not. You can fast forward if you need to. I just, you know, I enjoy the process. So I like to take my time, and, you know, especially when doing a tutorial, I want to try to be as thorough as I can. But if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments. Okay, now we're going to glue in our other little pocket. Alright, so now that we have our little pockets, so even if you wanted to, which I kind of like that idea, so I think I'm going to add a little belly band to this one. I'll leave the other one open for writing space, but I'll add a little belly band to this one. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this over the edge like that. I'll trim up this side a little bit to be about the same size. And get I'm going to leave the little flaps and then use those to glue it into place. Hold that there for a second. Now, we have our little belly band. So let's see here if we can these. I think if I trimmed it down a little bit more, I could get that to fit in there, but let's see what else we have here. Fit. Okay. Guess we can pick through animals here. See what we can find. I know I got some chickens. Got some chickens down in here. There we go. Could put a rooster down in there. Okay. I knew we could find something in the basket of goodies there. Okay. I'll go ahead and I'm just going to ink these up real quick. Do a little baby cheek. We'll put our rooster down in there. There we go. Okay. I should have went ahead and left my ink out. It's okay. Okay. Alright, so on this one, okay, let's glue our little tab onto our card here. We can slide that in there. Let me grab some burlap and I'll be right back. Okay. Put a decent amount of glue on this just because I want it to stick to the burlap. Okay, take my corner and I'm going to round the edges, the corners, not the edges. Move that over to the center. There we go. Okay. Cute. Alright. So those fit down in there. Adorable. Alright, I'm gonna get one of my mini little paper clips here. And I'm gonna clip these two together. There we go. Okay. Let me get that slides up. Okay, I like those on the front, so come back in here. Oh no, I may end up, let's use that for something else. Okay, I like that. And we'll see if I can pin that on there as well to keep it. There we go. Now, that'll keep it from sliding around. So let's fold this up, slide up our button here. So we've got under this tin roof, we gather, we laugh, we love, and remember. Let's see. Well, that one's kind of, that one's bigger. So we may use this one. Okay. Okay. Now let's go ahead and glue this one down. Let's grab another piece of burlap here. This time, let's go a little bit taller with it. Here it is. Okay. I'll have to go up a little higher with it. Just so it'll hold it down. Okay, now let's do our hen and our baby chick here. Pretty sure I got a couple more baby chicks. I'm gonna try to find one. Yep. Okay. I thought I did. Okay. So here we go. And I'm going to leave these ruffles at the end. Not ruffles, but frayed edges. So you could decorate and stuff down here. Okay. And you could also do like I did with the other ones, and I used the Dimensional Magic by Mod Podge, and I did a coat over the button, and I'll do that and then I'll let it dry overnight tonight. Well, I thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you all, and again, I would love to see what you do with this, and you know, make it your own, add your own creativity to it. And I will see you guys next time for another tutorial. Love y'all. Bye.